Now, FlutterFlow is extremely powerful and has a lot of functionality and features that you should be using, but you probably aren't. One reason for that is that you may not know that that feature exists. Another reason is that FlutterFlow does not make that feature to be conveniently used for your purposes. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 6 features that FlutterFlow has that you should be using, but you probably aren't for one reason or another. Now let's start with the simple ones. The first feature I'm going to talk about is a date time picker. And so here we have a blank app, we have a blank page, and let's say you want to get input from the user in the form of a date. Okay, how would you go about doing it? Well, we're going to come here, we're going to create a new row, and you're going to come here and you're going to search for a widget. And let's say you type date. And what is FlutterFlow telling you? Looking for a date picker, you can add a date picker by using etc, etc. So they're giving you a lot of instructions, but they don't have a widget that can display a date, can be used as a date picker. And so what you have to do is you have to create a couple of things. The first thing you need to do is you need to create a text field. That's going to hold the value. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you need something to trigger a date time picker. And so that's going to be a button, could be anything else. And so we have that, let's arrange it. And now you have a button and you have the value that's going to be eventually holding that date that the user is going to pick. And so the next thing you want to do is you want to hit this button, go over here, add an action, search for date time picker. You can set a default value. And now you can come here and let's make it a little bit bigger. And you can actually set it from a resulting date. You can go to widget state. Now you have a date picked, which you didn't have before if we didn't set that button's action to have a date picker. So now we pick that. You can have a timestamp format. I'm going to say it. Let's do something like this, confirm. And so here's the app. You pick this button. You have a date picker on the bottom. Let's say we want December 2nd. Hit done, and now that is set here. Let's say you want December 31st. You could pick that, and now you have it set. And so instead of it being kind of straightforward with a single widget, you have to take an extra couple of steps to make it work. The next functionality I want to talk about is file upload. And this is one of those features that you're just bound to use if you're building an app that's going to be interacting with users. And these users are going to be uploading some piece of data. And so this is how you do it. You have your column, you're going to have a row. And now what you need to do is you need 2 pieces. One is you need something to preview the file, and then you need something to trigger the file. And so that's what we're going to do. And let's say we're going to have an image here that's going to preview the file. And then we're going to have a button that's going to trigger the file upload. Okay, so we're going to center it. We have an image, we have a button. Now what you need to do is you need to go to this button and you need to create an action. We're going to say upload media, and we're going to say upload photo or video. Okay, and it's telling us that Firebase auth must be properly configured in order to upload the media. And you also need to configure Firebase storage. So you're going to go over here. You're going to come to Firebase. You're going to connect your project ID. You're going to say connect, auto-generate config files. Next, you're going to go into authentication, enable authentication, create a new entry page here. So let's create a brand new entry page. We're going to say login. We're going to pick a random page. How about this one? Okay. You're going to come back and set it right here as a login. Next, you're going to go into Firebase. You're going to deploy some rules. Come back here. Make sure you have storage selected here and enabled, which is what we have over here. And now you can go back to your app, come back here, select that page that we're dealing with and configure it. You're going to click on button. And now you have a variety of options. We chose upload photo and video. We have these settings. You can just leave them on default. And then here, what you want to do is you want to set from variable And what you want to do is you want to go to widget state and say uploaded file URL. Now you have a new option there. All right, we're going to reload the app. All right, so here's the app. This is where the image is going to be previewed. This is the upload button. If you click that, what we need to do is we need to pick an image from our computer. We're going to open it up. It's uploading it now. And now this is the preview here. And if you go back to our cloud storage here, if you go to users, we're going to have that new image that we've just uploaded. So this is the image right here for this specific user. And so this is an awesome functionality. Unfortunately, you have to jump through a couple of hoops to make it work. Next, let's talk about one of FlutterFlow's newest and very versatile features, and that is the Swipeable Cards. So if you come in here, you pick a widget and you type swipe, you're going to see a swipeable stack. You can add that here, and now you have that there, but you're not done yet. You have to add the widget that's going to be displayed as elements in this card deck. So we're going to come here, go to a template, scroll down, and pick something that looks like a card or some kind of a useful widget, such as this card details. Okay, and so we pick that. And now when you load this up, it acts kind of like a list or a grid view. You're going to have these images up on top that you can control. And so as an example, let's say we're going to go to local state. We're going to create a state variable called card list. It's going to be a list of strings. We're going to hit create, and we're going to create a couple of strings. Maybe this is going to be cities. New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, and one more city, San Diego. All right. Next, you're going to come here, go back to your screen, go to Swipeable Stack, go on the right-hand side, click on Generate Dynamic Children, and you're going to generate children from your local state card list, and you're going to call them cards. You're going to say confirm. Now you have a stack where each card is going to be a card details card that we selected. Okay, and so here I can change maybe this field to be a card item, which is a city in our case. Okay, so that's going to be a city. Everything is going to stay the same. And so if I run this app now, we should see a nice deck of cards that we can manipulate in any way that we want, as you will see shortly. All right, so here's the app. And now what we have is, instead of having a single widget, a single card, we have what seems to be a deck of cards. As you can see, some cards are behind it. And now I can swipe them left and right. So I can do that manually. I can do that by hand. And this process is going to continue until there's no cards to swipe. And I can also show a message that says something to the effect that there's no cards left. And I can also add buttons to do it programmatically. So as an example, we have this deck of cards. Let's say I want to go add a button. And let's say I have a column. I'm going to add a row below the swipeable, and I'm going to add two buttons. Okay, this is one is going to be left, one is going to be right. We're going to center it, and we're going to label them. We're going to say left, we're going to say right. And now I can make it so that the user clicks and it swipes automatically. How? Well, very simple. Click on this button, come here, add an action, scroll down until you see Control Swipeable Stack. We're going to pick our swipeable stack, and then you can trigger various things. So we're going to do a left swipe on this button, and then we're going to do a right swipe, Control Swipeable Stack, and then we're going to do a right swipe here, come back, reload the test environment. And now instead of doing it by hand, I can come here and say left, and it swipes, right, and it swipes. So potentially you can have both options. You can have an option manual, which is nice for that added effect, or you can have an option to do it programmatically using the buttons, and you can have them both there. And I think that's kind of how apps are built nowadays, to give the user choice and options and kind of have them decide how they want to go about it. Very, very powerful feature that you can easily implement inside your apps. The next super useful feature I want to show you is the flippable card. And this is an awesome functionality, not only because of the animation effect, but also because you can implement this inside of your apps, and it's going to serve a very useful purpose. And so for this example, we're going to do a grid view. So I'm going to search for a grid view right here. We have a grid view. Inside the grid view, we're going to load it up with a bunch of cards. Let's go to our templates, and we're going to do some kind of a card. Maybe some basic card. Okay, so I'm going to fix it up. This is text, so there's no overflowing, and then you can have more text. Okay, now this grid view is going to get data from a local store. So we're going to come here. We have a card list that we were using in the previous example, and we have a bunch of cities. Let's add another city so that the number is even. Let's say this is going to be Austin in Texas. Come back, and now we can have this grid view come and load data from dynamic children here. We're going to say local state, card list, no further changes, confirm, and just call it cities. Confirm. And now we have what looks to be a nice grid view. Let's go fix it up. Let's do a vertical by 2 as in cross axis, horizontally 2. Let's remove that spacing there. Okay, that looks much better. And now what we have it here is in task details. And so if I run this app, what I have is a bunch of cards, okay, with a bunch of text, but I can't really do anything, okay? So let's make this text take the name of the cities item, so it kind of looks a little unique. All right, so now it has the names of the cities. But let's say I wanted to flip around if I click on it, okay? So maybe I want to display the state on the back or something else. So in that case, I can come here, and instead of having just a plain old card, I can have a flippable card. So I'm going to click here. I can search for a flippable card, okay? Now, I don't want to replace it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component out of it temporarily so that I can use it later. I'm just going to say card, add a component, and then I'm going to go back out, and I'm going to delete it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this flippable card. I'm going to add it right here. And now what we have is we have the front card and the back card, and both of them are expecting a child widget. And so for the front card, I'm just going to delete this container, and I'm going to use my card that I created. Okay, now we have this card as the front card. And for the back card, you can create another card, you can do something else, doesn't really matter. But for the purpose of this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the front card how we have it, and the back card, I'm just going to have a regular container with text that will also take a cities and just display the city all by itself, okay? Now, in order for the component to display properly, I'm going to have a parameter that's going to accept the name that we want to display. So I have this component right here, and I'm going to add a component just as the text that I'm going to be passing, string confirm, okay? Now, if I go back, and I'm going to pass the parameter as the city, okay? And that is because we have a component. We need to pass a parameter so that it gets displayed properly. And now if I run it, you will see we no longer have these generic components, generic cards. We have something a lot better with beautiful animation. All right, so here's our new app. We're still seeing those cards here, but these are no longer cards, these are flippable cards. So if I click on something, it shows me the other side, the back side, which is just your general component instead of being this kind of fancy card. We click on this, and that is how it works. You can also click back, and you're going to be forwarded back to the front side, and you can do that. So you can implement a lot of interesting logic, a lot of interesting games, quizzes, lots and lots of cool functionality using these so-called flippable cards or flashcards. The next functionality I want to show you is the pin code, and I really love this widget. It has tons and tons of various uses that you can put to work right now. So we have our brand new app here. We have a column and a row. If I search for pin, and there's the pin code widget. As you can see, it takes up the whole width of the screen, and you have various controls. What's interesting about it, you have a hint character that gets displayed here, and you can also obscure the text. You have autofocus. You can set your pin length. Maybe you want it to be 6, and it takes input immediately. And you also have the box shapes. You can have a circle, underline. So let's say we're using the box. You have various controls here, colors, etc., etc. And what I like about it is that it takes focus of the keyboard immediately. All right, so here's the app, and this is our input. So if I type something, as you can see right away, we have a very, very clear and direct input where we can type in various pieces of information. And so if I come back here, I can change the pin length and I can change the hint character. So maybe I want question marks, reload this. And now we have a bunch of question marks. I can type that. I can also hide the text that I'm entering by selecting this option. And we have a new obscuring character. So I can come back to this as the original hint character, and the obscuring I can use as a question mark. Reload the test environment. All right, so now I can type it in and you're not going to see it. You're not going to see what I'm typing. Okay. I can also type the backspace and go back and it automatically deletes. And once you do it, you can come over here and you can add an action. And it's going to be uncompleted. So once the user completes it, it could send an event. And so as an example, let's say the event, let's say we create a condition. And here we can check, okay, what is the user typing? We're going to create a condition. We're going to say, well, did the user type the right thing or not? We're going to say first value. We're going to go to widget state, pin code is equal to specific value. And I'm just going to say for once. Okay, and now if it's true, we're going to add an action. We're going to do a snack bar. And we're just going to say specific value, right. Okay. And if it's false, we're going to say wrong. Copy action, come here, paste action, and here this is wrong. Okay. So if it's 111, 4 ones, we're going to show right. We're going to show wrong here. Okay. Let's change the background color so that it's easily seen. We're just going to make it red, and here we're just going to make it blue. Okay. There you go. All right, run the app. All right, so let's go ahead and try it. 111. Scroll down right. Let's say I make a mistake. 222. Wrong. All right. So that is a simple example. Obviously, you can do navigation. You have access to all the standard actions with FlutterFlow. And this is an awesome method. You need something like authentication, maybe a bank type system, financial type system. Anywhere where you just need quick input for values without resorting to something like a heavy widget, like a text widget that has a lot of other controls, a lot of overhead. You can say this one is very, very quick and easy, and you can validate it. You can do whatever you want. Highly recommended. Last but not least, I want to show you a very, very powerful widget that you're going to be using right away after you see it. And that's called a slidable list tile. And so if you go back to your app here, you come in here and you scroll down and you go and find it right here. We have slidable list tile, and you add it, and you have a list tile and you have a slidable list tile. So a list tile is basically a list of tiles. Just that looks something like this. But a slidable list tile is something very, very different. So if you go back here and you open the slidable inside the list, you're going to see this flow here. And so somebody can slide it from the right side, and they have various actions that they can perform. So we have share here, and I can add a new action. And if I go down here, I have these children. These are going to be the actions that will appear after the user slides this list tile. Okay, so for instance, we have one action which is a share, and I can come here and I can click on the action editor. I can open it, and now we have the same thing. We have on double tap, on long press, on tap. So I can add an action that's on tap, and I can say share. Okay, something like this, and that could be an action for sharing it. I can also add more options, right? I can just go to list style. I can add a slidable action, go over here and change it. Okay, so maybe this is going to be email. Email somebody. I can change the icon, email something like this. And now we have a different icon. I can change the color. Maybe I want orange, something like this. And so I have this and then I have that. And this is really, really useful. You've probably seen this all over the place in all kinds of apps, and I'm sure you have. It's just before it was kind of complicated to do it yourself, and now it's built in. You can use it as easily as one would use a list, right? If you're building a list, instead of building just your regular old list, you can build a list made up of these list tiles, okay? And then you can have a slidable action widget as the children for each of these tiles, okay? And then you can work with this widget how you typically work with various list type widgets to show the data that you wanted to show. And so these are the main things I wanted to show you guys today. There's lots more. So if you're interested in more of these little tips and tricks, things that you should be using but you probably aren't, let me know. Like this video, leave a comment below. And if you want to level up your no-code game, make sure you subscribe to my Patreon. On my Patreon, you are going to find all the FlutterFlow apps that I did so you can view and clone those apps. You're going to find access to Q&As, different live streams, as well as my new show, which is Behind the Code, right? Behind the scenes, where I talk about some of my thinking that goes into making these videos. I talk about my past videos, future videos, etc., etc. And so if you're looking to up your no-code game, signing up for a Patreon account is a great way of supporting this channel and supporting my work, and also getting lots and lots of benefits that are going to help you go a long way. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon.